What's up, y'all? You watching Pass the Control. Pass it! Yeah!
Ptc. Oh, man. And we're going to start right now. Welcome, everybody, to Pass Controller Episode 3, the Year of the Spider, man. Thank you guys for jumping in, man. My name is Mark Knuckles Carter. Big nuts to all young folks, man. Respect your gaming elders, man. Along with me, we got
Eric the Smoke Moran, the Smoke, the one and only, along with the man, the myth, the legend.
I didn't know. Hey,
I'm talking to you.
I'm looking at you. I'm looking back there. I'm like,
I'm talking about the one and only Spider Tribble himself.
what's going on, everybody? Jay Rich, the Spider Tribble, one of the hosts of the show, Black Tribbles, award-winning show, Black Tribbles. Wait, no, sorry, multi-award-winning show, Black Tribbles.
That's right.
There you go. Put it out there.
Put it out there fully.
You've got what else? What else you forgot?
I'm the head of J1 Studios and news, nerdy news website, comic team, and music. Everything. We just cover everything. And I own J1 Con, the anime and gaming expo that's happening in Atlantic City, September 14th to the 16th.
And we're going to get back there in a minute. And what else? We got the one and only crazy man himself, the man himself that speaks unfiltered when it comes to gaming.
I'm Brian. I'm Brian Lessick, civic-minded on PSN. Hit us up. And back to you.
Absolutely, man. So we got a great show for you guys because we know that coming up soon, releasing September 7th, is the most anticipated game of the year, Marvel's Spider-Man. That's why we got Jay Rich here, man, Spider Tribble, man. So we're going to talk more about that. But first, we will our segment here is what we've been playing, man. But before we get to what we've been playing, since we got Jay Rich here, man, we're going to talk about his gaming background, man. So Jay, for those that don't know you, you know, they know that you're anime, they know that you're comics freak and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But well, how about gaming, man? Like, how long you been gaming for?
I mean, well, I've been gaming back in the Texas Instruments, screw it into your TV days, black and white. I used to be a game developer when I was younger. I started a game company. I was 12 years old. This was back in the 80s. And I created a whole magazine. I tried to do like my own version of Nintendo Power, where I made different. Remember the floppies? The actual black
floppy.
When they were actually floppy, you could go like this and they was really floppy.
Tell the kids.
That's why they're called floppy disks. They were 5 1/4, and I made military games. I've made sports games, platformers. What I didn't know was fighting games. Just a series of games, and then I created Easter eggs inside of the games.
What platform did you develop for?
No, I was doing stuff with Apple IIe's.
Oh, nice.
So I was learning BASIC. I learned BASIC at that time, and eventually QBasic. Oregon Trail.
Yeah, right.
Stuff like a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
I developed games, not those games, but games with that same type of technology. And the graphics that people use for memes now, like the ASCII code, I use those, like the parentheses, the periods, the underscores, and I use those to create animated graphics for games for people who had Apple IIe's that couldn't process heavier graphics or anything like that. So I made magazines where people could buy subscriptions to learn the tricks and all that stuff in my game. And I was making games like every week.
That's great.
That's pretty dope, man.
And I mean, I'm still a gamer. I used to be a competitive gamer and like fighting games and stuff. I kind of fell off after the death of, not the death, but the end of like the Street Fighter 3 era.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still play games. I got my Switch here.
Yeah. Yep.
Oops.
Yeah. We've all been converted to the Church of the Switch, man. We try to get our man civic minded. Okay, not all of us. We try to get our man civic minded, man. Let's
got my Mario Kart case.
I got my Dead Cells.
This is like our icon, man, that we wear on our necks, man. You know what I mean? So we gotta respect.
Is this like the part where I leave the room? you guys do like the secret handshake or
something? No. This is where we turn down the lights. Go on a little Al Green.
See?
eventually, man. We'll get back to you eventually.
But we got to ask one question, man.
Yeah.
Your favorite game ever. Your favorite game. If you had to have one game and you played on the island by yourself, man, for all eternity, what would be that game?
Wow. It'd be a tie between Super Mario World, or Flying Warriors for the NES.
Oh, wow.
Flying Warriors for the NES.
Okay. I remember that game.
I like that.
And the reason why is because it encompassed so many different platforms and of gaming, because it was an adventure side scroller, but then it had, because you were using different martial arts characters and you would go on like platformer adventures, as you leveled up, your boss battles turned into like fighting games.
Right.
So then you had the fighting game aspect, and you could actually play fighting game aspects like with your friends. If they came over, you could just go to that mode, and all the characters that you played in and fought in, you could do like, and they were all like Street Fighter clones.
Right.
Like there was a black guy dressed like Ryu. There was like the main character looked totally like Ken. And then there was also like a shooter aspect into it as well, like a top down, like the bullet hell shooters and stuff like that. So there was so many different formats that made this overall game. Plus it had RPG elements. So getting that game is like having a little bit of every game.
Right.
So
that's pretty dope, man.
Yeah,
that's a really
good choices.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. I was gonna say you can narrow down one, but we're gonna let you. We're gonna move past.
But that one, I mean, covers all of them.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not my fault that game that hot, and a lot of people don't know about that game, but that game was hot.
Yeah.
So what are you playing now?
When I have time.
Yeah.
That's always the caveat. When I have time, my life is anything that's fast paced and pretty linear. I love RPGs. The only RPG that I'm touching right now is Battle Chasers, because I was a backer for it, and I love Joe Madureira and the story of Battle Chasers.
Right.
But my games are either racing games, fighting games, or linear action adventure games, like anything from Naughty Dog.
Got that right. Got that right.
I can enjoy that. We have God of War. I'm slowly taking an hour out of my time as a break from all the work and everything. I just do that for like an hour. Yeah. Now I have Mario Kart, so when I'm traveling, I can play that or my 3DS.
For convenience. I feel that's awesome. Good, man. That's good. How about you, Civic? What you been playing, man?
Man, it's been for better or worse, it's been Dead by Daylight.
The free PSN game, okay.
But I've owned that game since basically it came out, and I don't remember if we talked about it during the last show, but for those of you that don't know Dead by Daylight, so it's basically like a 4-on-1 horror game where one person picks a serial killer and the other 4 people are randomly assigned, or they play on a team of 4 survivors. And essentially, like, the serial killer is indestructible. Yeah. And the whole point of your little party of 4 survivors is you just have to escape. You just have to do these little tasks around like a certain like walled-in mapped area, and then get out. And then as many of you that can escape, it's a whole thing. It's a very simple concept, but it is so freaking addictive right now. So I dropped every other game right now. I'm like almost playing that game exclusively. The developers do an awesome job of supporting it. Yeah. It is free on PSN right now. There is some DLC available that you can pick, like Mike Myers and Leatherface and stuff. Right. But it's so fun, man. It's just I like in this day and age of gaming where you can get games that like they rely very heavily and they leverage upon very simple concepts, but the execution is so good that it brings out the fun. Like, as a kid when you play like Manhunt or something like that, that's the kind of game this is. So it's just so fun. So if you haven't picked it up, you guys need to just play it for a little bit.
Yeah. What child was playing Manhunt?
A child that's going to need a lot of therapy down the road.
No.
I
remember that you had to like cut the guy's neck with.
No. I don't mean Manhunt, the video game. I mean like the outdoor. What was it, like Capture the Flag?
Yeah.
The game.
Manhunt traumatized me when I was young.
Or like Jailbreak. You go out. So like in the neighborhood, you like go out with kids, and like one person is like the monster, and that's what I meant. Yeah. But speaking of which, Manhunt is the game. We need Manhunt 3. So Rockstar, if you're watching, which I know you are, Manhunt 3 on the PS5. You got to get on this because the world needs you. The world
Exactly.
needs
You got that right.
How about you guys, man? What you playing?
Oh man. Well, you know what though? I've been dabbing a little bit. I'm trying to finish the nostalgia game of what's called that? Oh my God, what's it? Colossus. See how this game is aggravating me. Shout out Colossus. The game is aggravating me so much, man. I thought the controls or whatever, man. And people saying, give it a chance, give it a chance. I never played it when it first came out for the PS3. So it's like everybody loves it because of the nostalgia factor.
It came out originally on the PS2.
On the PS2,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Man, I
so
feel
this
like
is actually the second go round on the remake now.
Really?
PS4 version, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they need to remake the controls, man, because for real.
Well, they give you options. They give you to play. You can
Does
play
that have classic?
Yeah, you can play the classic control, or you can play the modern day control.
Okay, all right. So
because I played that a couple months back when it came back out, and I got further on the remastered version.
Right.
I did the PS2. I don't know, it was because the control was a little bit easier. I played more of the modern day controller than the classic, and it was a little bit easier for me to be able to get on top of the Colossus and try to take out each Colossus and all that. So yeah, they give you two options.
Okay. Because honestly, I feel like it was a chore, man. It was a chore getting on the horse. It was a chore guiding the horse, man. The horse had its own mindset. You know, I'm like,
well, have you ever ridden a horse in real life?
Yeah. Oh,
because
maybe
it's a simulator.
See, I'm thinking, it's been a horse simulator. I'm thinking it's like, okay, I'm getting on like, Link's horse and all that, and then, the horse just goes on merry way, man, easy and all that.
That's a Nintendo horse versus a PlayStation.
You're right. How about that, man? PlayStation horse sucks. Heard from me, seriously.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
Snake had a nice horse.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Red Dead.
Yeah.
What was his name? What was the snake's horse's name? Was it D Horse or something? Because
yeah, it's like D Horse.
He had D Dog, right? Because the Diamond Dog, which is a David Bowie reference. But there was the horse's name?
The horse. It might have been D.
It was D Horse, really?
And it was awesome. You can call him from anywhere.
Yeah.
You can call that horse from anywhere. You could literally be getting rained down on with some fire. And you're like, where my horse at? Horse is like, I'm right here. How that horse didn't die, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, listen, man. I mean. There's certain horses, man, that shouldn't be on games, man.
Does that horse have PTSD?
I don't know, man. I mean,
so this is a really funny Easter egg, and I'm sorry we're going off on a tangent.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's what we do, but the horse in Metal Gear Solid 5. Somebody recently found out if you stand on a roadway where enemy vehicles are coming through, if you wait there long enough, your horse will crap on the road.
Yeah.
And if you stand back after he does it and you watch, if a patrolling vehicle comes driving through, it'll slip and spin on the crap in the road and crash. There's a video.
Oh my!
I know about the horse pooping. I watched it. I watched it.
You can use it. You can use it defensively, like a troop transport will come through, and all of a sudden it'll slip on the poop and fly off the road. This is the quality content you came and paid for.
Exactly.
This is where it's at. This is hard hitting news right here.
But I was excited to be here.
He was.
Past tense. Now it's poop.
He said but yeah, man.
Well, that's the show, folks.
Exactly.
All right.
But yeah. So Santa Claus was all right, man. And Joshua, I hear you. I know it's a masterpiece, Josh, but I can't. I mean, maybe I needed to baptize myself a little longer.
Yeah. You do.
Probably.
Because like I said again, the first time I played it was frustrating. And then when I played the remastered version, that's how I give it another chance.
Yeah.
It was better control. Like I said, I was able to control the horse better.
Right.
And everything else. I was like, oh, okay. And once I get the gist of it, I'm like, okay, going in. And then the whole strategy is being able to find a way to take out the class.
Right.
So, like, once you get the patterns down, it becomes second nature.
Right.
For me, I've been playing 4 different games.
Oh, go ahead.
From game to game. So you got the first one. It's like, well, actually, I'm going to talk about both because they're both almost similar. Death's Gambit and Dead Cells.
Mm-hmm.
Both came out around the same time. Dead Cells, I mean, again, I'm old school when it comes to certain games, Castlevania style game, but this game is unique. Both of these games are unique in the sense the graphics on there are beautiful. Music for Death's Gambit is beautiful. The concept is it's not over the top complicated, but you're going to get killed. You're going to get killed. But what makes these two games
Dark Souls,
like Dark Souls, it's a lot like Dark Souls. But with the way Dark Souls was and the way this game is, in both situations, when you die, you come back, like in Dead Cells, you come back, you kind of get the gist of it, of like gaining skill level and all, and you go through this room, you build up your skill, and you're going through these different, but it changes every time you play it. Every time you die, you come back, and that, like for example, with Dead Cells, it's funny because you run into your dead corpses and all these piles of corpses, and you're like, hey, that looks like me, and all that, and you're reacting to it, and you're going through this thing over and over and over again, but you're getting better and better at it, and it's addicting. With Death's Gambit, it's more like Dark Souls. You have to make sure you hit certain save points. Otherwise, you get so far and then you get stopped. But again, it's addicting. Both games are addicting, but they're beautiful. These games are highly addictive. I love them. Then we're going to talk about one of my favorite shows. And of course, now I'm able to do it online. I mean, it was online, PC and all that. Now you're able to play it on port on PS4. Star Trek Online. Again, you got a lot of the original actors from the series, from Star Trek Next Gen, TOS, D Space Nine. They had a special 20th anniversary type DS9 game where they brought back all the original, just about the original cast, new storyline. The game is basically, I got three different categories where I'm playing TOS, working with the Time Agency. I'm in the Next Generation era where I'm on D Space Nine. This game is, you can build your own squad. You can basically build your own ship. Once you get certain points and you start rising up through the ranks, you start be able to really break down your ship to your away team, how you want your away team to be. You get to assign different people to different assignments of your crew, and this is how you build up skill points. Highly recommend. If you're a hardcore Star Trek fan, I'm just waiting for the DLC for Star Trek Discovery, because once that comes up, man, I'm all for it. And then let's see, what else again? Oh, again, man, I've been playing so freaking many games. Between those games, and of course, we've been talking about this for the last, and I've been talking about No Man's Sky. Now, for No Man's Sky, when it first came out, I was like, I heard so many, it's so bad, and I was like, no, I'm not going to touch it.
I remember. We've had this conversation.
I'm not going to smell it, not going to touch it. So then when I saw that they came back and revamped it after a year, I think, or 2 years, they revamped it, came back, so I decided, okay, I'm going to download it. So I was able to download it, low price, was able to get the DLC, and I got to say, it's way, way better. I love the third-person aspect. They give you two different options, first-person or third-person aspect. You get more options to run around on planets. You get to go to different solar systems, your ship, everything. So it's kudos to the developers and listening to the fans and going back in and saying, hey, you don't often see that often, where they go back and revamp the game and make people say, hey, it's better now than it was. So kudos to the developers.
So theoretically, could I travel to Uranus?
Not mine, but you can go to.
No, I mean, it's like Uranus. I've always wanted to see Uranus.
I don't know if it's a serious question.
For me,
I've seen Uranus.
I think everybody.
But you know what?
This stream has been rated 18.
Me personally, I love going Venus, so
No, but earlier we definitely saw Uranus.
Let me spit this water, man.
It was a planetary.
It takes a lot to get to Uranus, so
the planets, people. We're talking about the solar system and
get your mind out the gutter, guys. Get your mind out the gutter.
Astronomy.
That's right. Unfiltered. Look, you got your assistant.
She can't. Off screen, Jason's assistant is like cracking up. She's gonna have an asthma attack soon. So trust me, we already.
She's trying to hold the water at.
Oh man, but dude.
Later that day.
Yeah,
I got nothing.
So you're talking about No Man's Sky, man, and again, I was one that poo-pooed on No Man's Sky when it first came out. It was horrible. So just your enthusiasm behind it with the remake now with Next. You know what? I'll probably eventually, and I should never probably. So well, actually, you know what? At that time, selling that game was the best thing to do. You know.
And you know what? And at that time, I can't blame anyone. But if you like download it, you might be able to re-download it again.
Right.
But with the DLC content, that's added on with it, it makes up for all the mistakes they made, all the errors they made, all the promises they made, and everything else. And it's now, like I said again, it's a worth playing game. If some of you want to wait till the price goes lower, then that's fine too. But for me, I was very satisfied. It was worth paying that $20 or $20+ It was worth it than paying $50, $60 and getting a game that's booty, and you're sitting there just like, mother.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the good things about the digital age is that it's sort of a double-edged sword. So you have developers who come out with a game that maybe it's not completely fleshed out, or it didn't do well. You know, it needed some polish, and maybe it needed a little more than that. Maybe it needed a revamp. And there are games out there that have been helped and hurt by developers going back over time and, you know, augmenting things and patching things. And, you know, when you look at, like, when Dead Island came out, I mean, I think that they originally had something like, and I don't want to say the number. I know it was more than like 50 different line items that they said, hey, we desperately need to patch these things. These are critical issues. Okay, so they went back and they did it, and they made a good game, in my opinion. Again, I know that game's not for everybody, but I liked it too.
Yeah,
I didn't like the other ones.
Yeah, Escape Dead Island was a little weird. But you have, you know, like a case in point, on like last episode we talked about the game Agony.
Yeah.
And if the developers went back now and said, hey, you know, we're going to go back to the drawing board, give us a year, okay? We're going to come back, we're going to make this thing better, we're going to enhance the controls, we're going to give you checkpoints, we're going to give you a little bit more instruction, maybe we'll re-record some dialogue. Okay, great. I'll give that game another chance. It's not good. It's a very bad game right now, in my opinion. But I'm not the kind of person who would say, like, oh, I'm going to write it off forever. So, I mean, and speaking to Eric's point too, like even just the other day, like I picked up No Man's Sky for like $10 at Walmart. I'm like, yeah, man, well, I'll give it a chance. Why not? Like, you got to kind of like roll with the punches.
And there's no loss to it too, because it's cheap anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you never know what you're going to pick up.
$10. I mean,
so,
exactly.
But that risk it's harder when it's, you know, a new game like that, and you're hearing all this bad stuff from other people or seeing reviews, and it's still $60.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Speaking of reviews, one of the things that we wanted to also address with the whole Dead Cell plagiarism controversy.
You're right.
What's your take on it? Like,
and you know what? And this is crazy too, because if you haven't heard it, you go and check it out too. You know, we have there's this. Honestly, we have it. He's not part of the community now anymore, but there's our IGN editorial. One of the
he was a staff writer.
I think it was a staff. He was a staff writer.
He was a paid full-time staff writer, to my knowledge.
And his name was Filip Mucin. And basically, what was so crazy was that the whole scandal, the whole plagiarism scandal, was pretty much set on fire when the Dead Cells review came out, right? And the Dead Cell review was he actually stole it from, I believe, from what my notes say, he stole it from Ptc Gaming. It's a small YouTube gamer, and he reviews content as well too. He's pretty cool.
Right.
And so he stole his pretty much his content, kind of, you know, chopped it a little bit, changed it, man. But
made
as far as
changes, but overall the flow and the pacing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember they were showing it side by side, the review, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding?
It's crazy, man. And
I was like,
if you didn't hear his apology, his so-called apology,
did he plagiarize the apology? That would be hilarious.
It was hard. I mean, it was like he wasn't really being sincere. If you know you made a mistake, you know, I mean, he already got fired. He got fired for IGN. You know you made a mistake. Instead of humbling himself, he just kind of made it seem like, well, really, it's not my fault. I can't believe it. But, you know, I did it, and I would never. And I'm like sitting there like, and then he's done this before. Kotaku called him out on it. He did this a couple years back with another couple games.
He did. You know? Yeah, matter of fact, but like I said, according to Kotaku, according to the various sources, he copied Nintendo Life review on FIFA 18, word for word. Well, not word for word, but again, you know what I mean? Just the timeline was like so similar.
Change a few sentences here and there, and that doesn't make it an all-new review.
Yeah, exactly.
So even when you, even if you cite a source, just give credit. I mean, I think that's really what it comes down to, and I predicate this by saying,
I make my living as a writer, professionally. So first of all, I wouldn't want to plagiarize anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a writer, you want your voice to do the speaking. You don't want to borrow someone. I mean, I guess some people do want to do that. I don't understand why you want to do it. You're being paid to do what I would consider to be a dream job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's very hard work, and it's not all just games. But if somebody told me, you play this video game and then write about it,
yeah,
we're going to pay you. Like, great. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to do the best I can possibly do. And he's not the first person that's been caught doing this. But I have to say, if I was on the receiving end and I did the footwork and I formulated what I wrote and I put it together and and somebody just used it for their own and got paid, I'd be heartbroken. If you're going to use it, just simply say, hey, Brian played this game and he said blah blah blah. Okay, cool.
Right.
But put it in the context of your own personal creative nomenclature and your own media. That's your job. So look, don't steal don't steal people's words, man. It's a job.
Especially
you
with
will
a
get
limelight
caught.
like that. The IGN of all people, I mean, all companies, IGN.
Right.
Let's not pretend. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I do that, with like J1 Studios.
Mm-hmm.
We do reviews on comics, everything, movies, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We do it for Tribbles.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that even stuff that say we screen a movie, right? It'll be just a bunch of us press guys. We're all in there. And we'll bounce ideas and thoughts off of each other, but we're doing it right there to each other's face, giving each other a couple oh yeah, I didn't think about that. And you'll just ask them straight up, I'm not throw that at my room. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, brainstorming and collaboration is part of it.
Right.
So that's fine.
Like I wouldn't go and take Cinema Blend's review and just mine. Yeah. I wouldn't just put that and change out one or two.
And if you are, you might want to just make sure you quote it from Cinema Blend. They said blah 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 blah, and I agree with them.
Right.
Like if I went home tonight and I saw on Destructoid some guy saying, the DLC era really is a double-edged sword. It can really help some games and not help others. Take a case in point, the game Agony. In a year from now, if they said that they fixed Agony, and I'd be like, wait a minute, I said that yesterday.
Yeah, right.
They'd be like, and if they didn't attribute that correctly, or if they didn't at least cite it saying, hey, look, this guy brought up a point. I'm not looking for glorification. I would just simply say, hey, thanks for the shout out. That's all.
Yeah, right.
That's all it is. Just share the love. We're all gamers.
Now, here's a question to you guys as well too, because from Phil's mouth, from his apology video, he says, well, reviewers do that. Reviewers actually go and look at a reviewer's reviews and they base it off of theirs. You know what I mean? Now, what's your thoughts on that too?
Well, from what I've seen, and I've seen a lot of other fellow review gamers that are out there that I follow on YouTube and all. A lot of them, if they quote, and there's a few that I really respect, they will quote and say, coming from this source, and they always, there's a couple different ones, and they always acknowledge the source. This is from the source, let's say from Gamer Blog Magazine.
Right. They
said blah, 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 but you're giving them the credit. I have no problem. Any of us, if you're quoting something from our show, from Past Controller, and they said, well, Mark Knuckles Carter said from Past Controller show says, and we're using this quote, blah 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 blah. That's cool. You're acknowledging your fellow game reviewer. At the same time, you're showing that unity within the gaming community. When you don't do that, that's all about you thinking about yourself, your career, and thinking about how I can get ahead and screw everyone else in the community because it's all about me getting mine. And so, like I said, that's, you got to show that courtesy and respect to your fellow reviewers.
Exactly. But what is so hard about reviewing a video game? It's your thoughts.
No. Here's where it can be difficult. Because I've had to do that with games, and sometimes we have, especially when we first started the company, we had a catalog of games that we had to review, and there was a handful of us, and we had to do written and a recording. So we're just you're just knocking out stuff, but you also have a number count, like, you know, word count. You also have to, and some games just don't have enough content in itself for you to want to go and do like 1,000 words. Like, like you get the word like 375, and you're like, what do I say next? And then you start looking back at the old stuff, and then like, I understand getting those blocks, especially if you have a deadline, because with reviews we have like embargoes where we can't say something, or the studio or the production company, whatever, is looking for that review to come up at said time. So that you're just like, oh, I gotta just.
So on the Pass the Controller website, what I've started on the Facebook page, so I've started to post a couple reviews. I do like at least one game review a day. And you don't want to be, from a creative writing perspective and for the sake of being unique, you don't want to say what everybody else has always said. You know, you want to pick a game, and these are games that have, you know, go back 30 years. So I did a thing not too long ago where I said, hey, throw me a game, I'll review it. Somebody said, hey, Wizards and Warriors for NES. Perfect. So I played it. And I was like, it made me want to learn more about the game. So I talked about the game for a little bit. But then I said, you know what really stands out? The music.
The music, yeah.
The music is so good. And it was a rare-backed project. And the composer was like world renowned. I searched for him, and he won all kinds of awards and went on to, you know, all this stuff. And I was like, wow, it's really great. And, and I said, you know what, this is like a good example of not just a platform, but like an arcade, you know, sort of like an RPG-esque. And it really kind of went down a rabbit hole. But I picked points of topics. Say, like, you know, I'm not just gonna like tell you the story of the game. It's a 30-year-old game at this point, so you probably already know about it. Most people may have even played it. So you want to just pick an aspect and talk to that, speak to that the best way you can. So again, I know not every game is going to be great, and especially if you're playing a bad game and you have to write, like you said, 1,000 words.
And half the time you're expected to defeat the game. I mean, back in the day, now they have a little citation at the bottom saying, like, I played this much of the game or whatever. But usually you're expected to do it for review, so you got to run through these games. Like, I've had games like where I had to go like, all right, like the game would be shipped to me, and I'm like, I got to beat it before the sun comes up. So, like, and then start writing the review right afterwards. So you don't even get to enjoy the game like that. So you have, like, certain formulas. You're like, okay, here's the synopsis that they'll send you, because they'll send you, like, a little write-up of, like, the little paragraph about it. Then you want to talk about stuff like the graphics, the music, the controls, the overall gameplay, you know, and, like, that. And then you try and do a little bit of that. But then sometimes you end up falling in the same repetitive hole. I'm not justifying my man's actions at all, but it is harder than you would think when it comes to doing constant reviews. If we do a game that we like, we can go forever.
Yeah, true.
There's times where you're giving movies. You know how many movies I've seen that I can't stand? Oh, I had to write like 400 to 1,000 words about something. Like, I hate it. Like, I just want to write. I would just want to write. I hate it. 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 The music sucks. I hate it. I hate it.
One of the things now, and this kind of goes back to the earlier discussion about, like, you know, games that get launched prematurely and they're not well received, is that when you write about a bad game, your hope is that maybe a developer out there might see it. So you're hoping to say things like, hey, like, this aspect of the game was great. This could have been better. And they'll say, oh, okay, there's some good feedback. You don't want to just hate. Don't be a hater.
But what you're asking for is what we all, any creator wants, is constructive criticism.
Like there have been times when all I want is an honest opinion. Don't just bash the game. When I hear people say Call of Duty is crap, okay, why? Like, maybe you didn't like it, but is it a poor quality game? You have to make a distinction between qualitative and quantitative aspects when you do any kind of review. And that's why I'm not a game basher by trade. I don't play Call of Duty. I'm sure it's fun. It looks cool. People are great at it. That's great. But I would never sit back and go, it's horrible, just because I don't play it. I know we're going down like a whole tangent on this, but that's one of the things too. I think that, like, people are sometimes afraid. You know, and a whole other aspect of this is, like, people flame you online for opinions. So I've seen people who give an honest, maybe sometimes even a contrarian review of something, like, I liked
Aliens, Colonial Marines.
Yeah.
Was it Game of the Year material? Hell no. But I had fun with it because I had a group of people who were like super big fans of the Alien franchise, and we played that game. We almost platinumed it. It was just fun. Like amongst, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And what did it look like?
It's an alien.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's not a perfect game, but you got to make it fun too. Sometimes you got to meet the game halfway, kind of thing. But
Exactly.
you know, I don't know. But so what else we got, man? I'm sorry.
That's true. No, you're right though. Like you said, how y'all say constructive criticism. Yeah, Rouge on the chat says constructive criticism is always welcome too. You're right about that. You know.
But a lot of people don't know how to do that. There's people who are opinionated, but and don't know how to give constructive criticism. I've seen that in the cosplay community. I've seen that in the comic book industry. Like I've seen other creators talk to other creators. We'll be sitting in circles online, and they're like, "That was just garbage."
Yeah, right.
You'd be like, give them some advice so that they
and they'll have a clue about any kind of history on video games, comic books, cosplay, or whatever. And it amazes me because I give reviews on whether it's comic books, movies, and all. And you're always gonna have that individual. Well, how'd you get to see that first? And I don't understand. One guy. Not getting off topic, I talked about Superman, Death of Superman. I got a chance to see it way before. How'd you get to see it? And what? And I had to school. I'm like, dude, it wasn't that good. I'm like, dude, we're not talking about the Death of Superman.
Say my name.
No, Death of Superman. And they're like, oh, I'm talking about the other Superman. And so again, and then well, when are you gonna be like this? And I'm like, dude. Seriously,
it's your review.
It's my review. If you don't like it, create your own review. Go on your damn page. What kills me, and whether it's video games or whatnot, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the one to go and piss on someone's cornflakes because they like a certain set game and they're giving you a reason. They're breaking it down. But all you can say is it sucks booty. Why? Because it sucks booty.
Because it sucks.
And there's not no backing. But like you said, we don't want to get too much off the topic.
That's true.
Let's get back on what the real deal is.
Yep.
The whole reason why we got this man on the show in the first place, besides J1 Con.
And one game that we don't have to worry about it being so bad because it's going to be awesome. And it was gold too early, so we can't wait for this completed, beautiful game. It's Marvel's Spider-Man for the PS4. And I see you guys weighing in the chat too. Y'all say y'all loving it, man. What do y'all think of it? What do you guys think? Have y'all seen the trailer, man?
Look. Have you seen the trailer? I'll smack you.
Guys, I know you've been.
Literally, my nickname has been Spider-Man for 20 years.
Okay, so we're going to throw it to you, man. We're going to pass the controller to you, Spider Triple, man. What is your thoughts on this new Spider-Man game for PS4?
I am beyond hyped for this game. I've been watching even before they did any of the E3 announcements, when they were doing production art and when they were just talking about the possibilities of what they could be doing in development.
Yeah, I
was stoked. I don't want to say because a lot of people are like, well, it's just Arkham. No, here's what you're not getting. It's like,
and would that even be such a bad?
What's a bad deal? What's bad about it?
That game's just like Arkham.
It's just a game style. It's a gameplay style, right?
Okay, right. Because I mean, if you want to go down that road, then every action adventure game usually uses square on a PlayStation for attack. Like your triangle is usually your counter. Like I mean, that's everybody uses the same.
So that same mentality means Assassin's Creed was Arkham and Injustice was Arkham.
Thank you.
Every game in the modern era that is any kind of three-dimensional adventure game where you're based in give me a break.
All those same gameplay mechanics are used in every Naughty Dog game, every Ubisoft game. Like it's this Shadows of Mordor have the same controls as Arkham.
But that style of Spider-Man game predates all those other games anyway. So
we're talking about Spider-Man 2 on the GameCube and stuff like that, and
it had the PSP and John was good. The Spider-Man game, which was pretty solid.
This is just taking. We're sorry that for the fans who are like, it's Arkham. Well, Arkham they learned a piece of this from here, and then everybody's learning as a new game comes out. They learn from the people before them. They are like, that's a good idea. Why not move in that direction? That's how half this technology came from in the first place.
And not only that,
look at our controllers.
Not only that, but you got the Spider-Man games that preceded before that came out and all the
That were
systems
great.
that were great, and they're learning. The developers learned, okay, the do's and don'ts, the ups and downs of what made the game, some of those Spider-Man games successful and not successful. Okay, we're going to use the strengths of those Spider-Man games and put it into this game, plus new additional technology and new ways, Arkham technology and all that stuff, and put it in one big game. Where this game I've never seen, it's been a long while next to God of War, where I've seen so much, like I've been seeing nothing but demos. They're telling us just about the damn storyline. You go on YouTube, it's like it could be one of those things where you're like going on YouTube, you're like every 5 minutes you're seeing something on Spider-Man. I'm like, this give me the game now. I mean, damn, everybody, what, you know, because the game everybody's been trying. I mean, seriously,
He's camped out outside.
No, listen. I had to stop. Like, stop looking at videos because I don't want. I know they do a lot of it to hype, and I know they're trying not to give away too much story, but there's certain stuff that I saw, and I was like, oh, that's cool, and I was like, I think I would have liked it more to be surprised to see that, but at the same time, it's a weird double-edged sword in that situation. Like,
and then I'm hearing lately. Now I don't know if you guys, I've seen one or two posts that are like, you know, Spider-Man could be somewhat disappointed, and I'm like, here we go, here we go with the negativity. Seriously,
guys? The game looks amazing. That spider suit, there's Jill.
Well, that's what I said.
At first, I wasn't. Now I'm gonna be honest. I first wasn't crazy about it. When I first saw it, I'm like, okay, the white. And I'm like, oh, but that was like maybe 2 years ago.
Right.
So it grew on me.
But now,
when I first saw it, I immediately was like, I need to get some like Under Armour and stuff like that.
But check this out though, man. You think about all the custom suits, man, that is going to be in the game as well too, man.
Well, a lot of them are the ones from the various comic series. Right. Did they announce big time? I
don't think they did.
I don't want to know.
I know what they've already. I know like all the suits they announced. They did Spider-Man Noir. They did Spider-Man Punk, which Spider-Man Punk is going to be bitch. I'm gonna play it a lot in that suit, man. Because the guitar. Dude, the Punk suit. I'm gonna put on that Punk suit all the time, man. It comes with the guitar, and the guitar got an AOE attack. Dude,
listen.
What?
I want to play in just the standard suit that they gave me because that suit is gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
I would have loved that to be one of the suits for the movies. I would like to see that as a suit for the live action. I think it looks really good and it stands out. Like we've seen so many different Spider-Man suits throughout the years. So especially when like Superior came into play and like all these other like then you had like the Iron Spider. Like funny thing is that's the one suit not a fan of.
Wow.
Really? Do not like not the red and gold Iron Spider suit.
Really?
I'm not a fan.
Well, what about the ones in Avengers?
That one.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
with the gold trim.
Yeah.
I just wanted.
Smells like a new car in here.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. I just thought it was too plain. I thought it was a cool concept. I just thought the suit was too plain.
See, the only thing I know after the original debut trailer, the one piece of feedback I heard from people, it just bewilders me to this day that this was even a criticism, but people were like, I don't know. Looks pretty cool, but those QuickTime events, I don't know. QTEs. I'm like, how else are you going to get, it's, okay. When you, and maybe you can concur from a developer's perspective, but when you have elements of games that are that fast and multidimensional and cinematic and reactive, you either can accomplish it via a cutscene or a QuickTime event. But we are just not to the point where it would be playable from a human perspective. And he's flipping, it's 5 dimensions rotating around, the helicopters flying through I'm like, people are going to complain if you give them a cutscene. Then the same people complain when you give them a QuickTime event. You want to be playing the game. You gotta meet it again. Meet the developer halfway. You gotta meet the game halfway. Yeah. I was like, that is gorgeous to me, and that seems like a lot of fun to play it in that way. So I don't know. I'll reserve judgment until I have my hands on the game. But to me, that is not a deal breaker at all. Some of the best games in the market right now are QuickTime event element heavy. Right. I mean, like every Telltale game.
I was gonna say Telltale is killing it.
Absolutely.
Telltale. Wow.
absolutely.
I don't like cutscenes and I don't like PT events, but like you don't want to go anywhere near like Telltale games, man. That's not for you. That is not for you.
Yeah. Batman?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Matter of fact, it's a comment on the chat for Jason. It said, Justin Wingate, he says that the Spider-Man PS4 version is a new style of how the true story of Spider-Man came to be. It was like Edge of Time and Shattered Dimensions combined with the Sam Raimi movies, man.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of aspects from, they wanted this to be a standalone series. It's not tied to the comics, it's not necessarily tied, it's not tied to the movies, this is just like the Arkham games.
Like full alternative universe?
A whole different universe, yeah,
okay.
just its own universe. It's going to have a lot of the same characters and all that stuff, but the storyline's a little different. You know, Peter's older, he's in his grown man right now. Miles is like grown-ish.
Yeah.
I don't know, like based on the graphics, he looks kind of grown, but that might be like, I don't know where they're going with it. I don't know what age he might be. He might be like 18, 19 at that time or something like that. They've been doing a lot of stuff with Spider-Man lately, even outside of the games, where they're making standalone universes. This is like, you have like the movies coming out, like separate standalone movies that are just these inner universe separate things. And this game will last longer. Yeah. You'll have more freedom with it not being tied to any specific universe. Because now they can do DLC where it can be like Venom.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Carnage.
That's what I'm saying. Please bring Carnage, please.
You know,
it's my favorite villain,
they can do DLC storylines. Like how other games and companies, Arkham's done it, Assassin's Creed has done it, where you had DLC which were set like 5-hour long just gameplay storylines.
Mr. Freeze story.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about Mary Jane being a playable character, man?
It seems like
there you go. See, I didn't even know that. I wanted to wait till I played the game. Like, oh, Mary Jane's a playable character.
Oh, it was announced on SDCC.
Now, which Mary Jane? Classic Mary Jane, or are we talking about Zendaya Mary Jane?
Spoiler
alert.
If you watch
rewind.
Now here's how they're gonna do it. Are they gonna give her powers?
I think she's gonna be like detective mode or something like that. That's what
you know what I mean? They could do a spin-off where it's kind of like Spider Island type thing. Like for those who read the comics, there was the arc Spider Island where everyone in New York got Spider-Man abilities. Yeah. Like, and everyone was swinging. There's webs everywhere.
Yeah. Now this was a report from San Diego Comic-Con's Marvel Spider-Man panel. Again, the director Brian, jack up his last name, Intihar. Now he says that that timeline, of course, I think despite that Peter Parker and Mary Jane broke up, you know what I mean, but Mary Jane is still helping out him, you know, helping him out. So that's where the aspect of, okay, Mary Jane's being a detective. Okay, you got to go to inside of, you know, maybe.
So maybe she's like the Oracle. Think of her as maybe they might. I mean, I haven't seen how they're gonna go about it, but maybe she could be like how Oracle was and how Alfred was in the Arkham games. They would always drop items. You didn't necessarily solve them all the time.
But you eventually had Batgirl did have her.
She had her own
like
side
prior
story.
Before she became our Oracle.
Right.
You know what I'm going to tell everyone? Watch this. The game is going to do really good to a point where they're going to have a special edition come out. They're going to have all the DLCs and everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm like debating this. I want to
get it now.
Yeah, or should I wait because they're going to have a special edition?
No. They need you to get it now because that's how you get the funding or the
it's got a big studio already behind it, though.
Right, so if they don't know that it's getting that kind of pull, they won't go that extra step. A lot of times there's been games that had like big studios behind it that when they've gotten to a point where people weren't showing that much love, they were like, all right, let that fade away.
Destiny 2? Like Titanfall 2? A lot of games with 2.
What happened to Titanfall?
Yeah.
But, you know, like...
Dude, oh my God.
Well, my question to you guys... Question to you guys. What version of Spider-Man are you getting? Are you guys going all out for, like, the bundle with the statue, John,
I want it. Now, this man probably can, you know...
It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
I know you're going to go out like get it, right? Yeah.
That's a yes. You heard it first here, folks. That's a yes.
You know what's so funny?
He's got two of them.
I'm about to. No, here's my problem.
Yeah.
I just bought a PS4 for another reason. Just bought another PS4.
Mm-hmm.
Then they show me the Spider-Man edition like, PS4,
yeah.
and then here's the problem. All right, so my girl, she got the other PS4.
Yeah.
What's the name?
She's watching too.
Is she watching? Oh my god. So that PS4
What you mean you're gonna buy another one?
right. So, but here's the problem.
Gonna be sitting on the couch tonight.
But I'm gonna have a PS4.
You'll be holding the PS4 tonight.
I'm gonna hold that PS4 tonight. That's right, baby. It's just me and you. And my Switch. So here's the problem. Our previous PS4, we have the original launch package PS4. It's getting to the point where it's making a lot of noise. I want to hold on to it, but I don't want to run it into the ground. So what I'm thinking of doing is giving her the PS4 I have now, and then having to pick up, because I want to make sure that she has a working PS4.
Yep.
So I have to get the Spider-Man PS4 so that she can have a PS4.
So you're really doing her
I'm doing her a favor.
She should be thanked.
I'm doing her a favor. And then I have, these guys know I have a whole gallery of Spider-Man memorabilia from like the 70s until now.
Nice.
So
what's the crown jewel of the collection?
I have original Kenner figures. I also have a signed Jim Shooter, Secret Wars #8.
Oh, that's awesome.
A lot. I have Alex Ross bust of Spider-Man with the reflective mirror eyes. The Sam Keith statues.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's ridiculous. There's no one prize. There's a lot of them. I got What If #1. Like.
This dude got a bank.
Okay.
This dude got a bank. Now here's a crucial question. This question was posted by Jessica Lopez, and thank you, Jessica, for posting this question. The Video Game Awards is December 6th, right? December 6th. Spider-Man comes out September 7th. She asked, will Spider-Man shake up the Game of the Year awards this late in the year?
It could.
Wait. Because honestly, there's.
Because let's put this out to you.
You have a 2-month window.
Because let's put this out to you.
I have a 2-month window.
What's in your opinion? What's leading in the Game of the Year nominee, or pretty much the nomination right now is
God of War.
Exactly, which came out when it had its time to flourish. Spider-Man doesn't have that much time, do you think, or?
But it has time to beat it because it has a more expanded universe on it. The way the gameplay in itself,
right,
and it leaves itself open for DLC that can just land at the right time to sweeten the deal. There hasn't been any real DLC or anything like that for God of War.
Yeah.
God of War is just a standalone. This is it.
Yeah, true,
Enjoy
true.
it. Boom. It was amazing. I didn't even get to finish
They
it.
just upgraded the God of War 1.6 or 1 point something. Where basically now you got all these added on stuff, and you get to replay it again with all the stuff you came with the first one and new.
But I mean, that's like getting PlayStation Plus on it. That's the what is that? Yeah, when you beat the game the one time, they give you like a lot of the games on at least PS3 and PS4 would do that, where you beat the game one mode and then you can go back New Game Plus or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's all. Honestly, that's all that is. Like you're getting. And graphically, it's a stunning game. Like God of War is a stunning game. The story is beautiful. It's cinematic beauty.
True.
Like, but the thing is it as immersive as Spider-Man when you're swinging through New York, running on top of cars, jumping? If they can give you the feel of what, like a little bit of like Shattered Dimensions, a little bit of that Spider-Man 2 from back in our day. Like you give them, a little bit of like the PS3 Spider-Man games, like amazing and all that stuff. Even though they had issues here and there, but if you can give all that kind of stuff and then give it like if you give it like an Arkham Knight feel, like when I mean like a world that vast and interactive and all that stuff with Spider-Man, who's right now a well-loved character thanks to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's no way that like Spider-Man has enough time to become Game of the Year?
Well, I think going back to the question about Game of the Year and whether that game is going to shake it up or not, really depends on just one thing, and that's when is Days Gone By coming out.
It's not coming
out this year. Yeah, it's
rhetorical.
Yeah.
I know,
That's true.
but
That's true.
my
You got me
point-
scared for a moment,
You're
guys.
just being a jerk.
my point being, that game is gonna. No, I'm not bashing it at all. I think next year is gonna be a hallmark of gaming. Like the games that are on that lineup. I mean, we say this every single year, but you have another Fallout game coming out.
Yeah.
You have Last of Us 2.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
You have
Done.
You might have Death Stranding coming out.
World
Kingdom
War
Hearts
Z.
3, man.
Thank you. I mean,
Kingdom Hearts. Next year is
wait a
gonna be
minute.
fire.
Oh my
Next
God.
year is gonna be best for games.
Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Resident Evil 2.
Oh my
Resident
God.
Evil 2.
Yeah.
My wallet, man. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Ghost of Tsushima.
That's it.
Yo, that looks so good, man.
Right? Oh my God. And it comes back to, and I think we said this during every episode so far, so I'm just going to make it a three-peat here.
Yeah.
There are the two, maybe three developers where it's like you would basically buy any game from, and it's Rockstar, Naughty Dog, and Sucker Punch. If those companies came out with a game called Poop Adventures,
Mhm.
buy it in a
that.
heartbeat.
Oh,
I'd be like, yo,
I'll buy that.
Naughty Dog, Poop Adventures, I'm playing
I'm
that.
gonna
I would actually
Yeah,
buy it. I would
I'm
bet. I
gonna
don't
say
care
right
what company makes that. If you make a game called Proof Adventures, I'm buying it.
I'm telling you right now.
Bye.
Plus, some little dude out there watching this right now is doing like, Poop Adventures, I got
But you know
He's
what?
gonna make
But
me
now-
rich.
now-
That's a solid
now,
idea.
This is something I heard today. It was on YouTube. You had Gamescom convention. I mean,
Mhm.
this came and went.
Yep.
You heard about what's going on with Cyberpunk now, right? Okay.
Do we
They showed
wanna-
not only did they show
do we wanna go down
screenshots,
this road?
not only did they show screenshots, but they already said it's already done from beginning to end. In other words, the game is complete. All they have to do is come in. And they're saying that now there's a possibility it may come out. Before they were like, there's 2 more years to come out. Now they're saying it may come out sooner than that.
They probably
And
come out
so-
summer next year.
Or no, probably winter. Probably winter. And do not put it. I would not put it past them because it's gotten so much. And it's one of those games that no one, other than the game reviewers and all, you had a chance to see it, and everybody's been. I just saw a guy talk about it today, and he's like, "Oh, well, I didn't sign off anything. I'm gonna tell you all about it right now." And he was like, it blew him away. And everybody that I have seen talk about this game.
Mhm.
You have 1 or 2 naysayers, but just about 98% of the people that seen it lost their.
The only
freaking
rumor,
mind.
Yeah.
the only rumor I saw about it was that there was a potential they may skip this generation and go straight to the PS5.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And I think that's another thing too. And everybody's going to have their own pontifications and guesswork here so far as what's going to happen hardware-wise.
Right.
All that we just said about all the great games coming out in 2019, everything that's coming out great for the rest of this year, we are going to see new hardware next year.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's
Next year?
I think so. I mean, I'm not trying to be Michael Pachter or anything. I mean, but I would say that in the life cycle of all of the consoles right now, with the exception probably of the Switch, I think that Sony and Microsoft are due for something.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's going to be like a full revamp, like a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Box, whatever they're going to call their new. Yeah, who knows? Their naming conventions are kind of funky to me.
Caterpillar.
Okama Game Sphere. I don't know what they're going to call it. But I think they're kind of due. Like people are kind of looking for something now.
Right.
Although I'm not saying that I think that the hardware of current gen is dead, but people are kind of like, 8K visuals are going to be here soon.
Yeah.
And, everything is
Some
like,
possibilities, yeah.
super high, network capability, gigabit, so the hardware might just have to jump up a notch. But I'm just saying, like, this might be like next year might be like the last big full year hurrah for all the new games of this console generation. I mean, I don't know. I don't have like an inside track, but I'm guessing that it kind of seems like things go in cycles. So that's all I got.
Yeah.
What do you think? Jay?
I see. I know exactly what you're talking about. One of the things that comes with the cycle, though, is a mastery of the previous cycle, and no one has gotten that yet. That's the problem. They've created themselves a monster. You know, like with the technology of the PS4, especially the Pro, let's be honest, the stuff that they're trying to create for the next system, we haven't even mastered 4K yet.
Yeah.
4K, you haven't moved on, you haven't gone past the format of 4K.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, we have 4K TVs. How many things do we have that, like, now Blu-ray is commonplace. 1080p is the expected word to come out of anybody's mouth when it comes to your cell phones now.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's commonplace. We don't have a commonplace 4 or 8K anything. Everyone does not have a 4K TV. You know, like this, I think this is one of those times where they need to, when we move from PS3 to PS4, when we move from the 360 to the One, people had exhausted and reached the general plateau of the system's capabilities. There's still technology that can be done with these current systems now.
Right.
That companies haven't even reached yet.
That's true.
You know what I mean? We haven't gotten to that point. We have, with the PlayStation, you have over 1 million or 1 billion like points of like generated contact that can be used as like realistic with realistic physics.
Mm-hmm.
We have barely gotten games that use those kind of effects. You know, you've seen that in like spark effects in hitting for even systems like the Xbox One, like Killer Instinct, when you saw like fireball expect, you saw those particles everywhere. But how common do you see that? Our water effects are amazing right now.
Yeah.
But they're still not at like that, oh my god, level. Yeah, we're not there yet. If they're doing it, that'd be a cash grab. That's all
true.
they're gonna do.
Well, it's funny when I agree with what you're saying. It's a good point. When you see certain developers that can like pull so much power out of a system, like, you know, when you see some developers who are making, I'm trying not to say agony. I'm trying, but yeah. When you see some developers who are making games that are, so let's just say, of moderate quality, okay? And then you have developers who are putting out stuff like Horizon Zero Dawn, where when she gets on the horse, the animation of her, like, there's no clipping at all. It goes completely over. There's like they crafted every frame of that game, the hair wisping and I mean, yeah. So
when that becomes commonplace, when that becomes commonplace, when people are like jumping onto like contact, like points of contact, like hitboxes or just frames and all that stuff, where you could jump on, like I said, a horse, and it doesn't look like the person is going like, and then like then it turns into this new graphic, you know, that they're controlling of the person on a horse. Like you once we get to that point, all right, cool. Show us your capabilities by making a new Grand Theft Auto. I'm not even a fan of Grand Theft Auto, but take the tech of like make a Grand Theft Auto that doesn't look like PC mods. You know, make it look more photorealistic, but still have that same size world. Then I can see you exhausting that.
Well, that's kind of what we were promised with
that kind of technology. Like we're not there yet. We still can do so much with these systems.
You know what, to sum it all up, and matter of fact, perfect comment from D. Joseph Cleveland on the chat. Thank you, Joseph. He said, look, we just need to skip it all and go full Sword Art Online style, man, with the whole visual headset, jump into the universe, guys. You know what I mean? We're getting there, hopefully. But seriously, you know what I mean? But it's all just a matter of time, man, before we can see, technology just being expanded like that, man. You know what I mean? Just graphics get better, you know what I mean? But just to roll it back then, like I said, for Spider-Man, definitely go ahead and grab it. Comes out September 7th, your local game shops, man. 2 weeks? This is crazy, man. So definitely grab it, man.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Definitely, man.
Is that a Total Recall thing?
You got it.
2 weeks. Get ready for a surprise.
Exactly, man. Hopefully that game isn't hard, man. Hopefully I don't rage quit. Matter of fact, going to the next segment. Oh, your rage quitting moments, man. I know y'all had like rage quitting moments in video games, man.
Define rage quit.
Define rage quitting moments, man. It's when you're frustrated in a video game. Like, I'll give you my example, man. Like, if you watch my stream, twitch.tv/nuts, just throw out there, man, selfless. I play a lot of Crash Bandicoot. I play a lot of Crash Bandicoot. If you have watched me, if you know me, I cannot stand that game. You know what I mean? I love it, but I still can't stand it at the same time. You know what I mean? It's whack.
Love-hate relationship.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Is it abusive to you?
It is abusive. It's like I feel like I'm not getting the tender loving care that I'm supposed to give playing video games, man. Crash is whack. Not whack. I'm sorry.
Do we need to like pass around the feelings pill or something? We can talk it out.
Here's the feelings switch. Like,
guys, it's frustrating. Y'all see me scream on Twitch and YouTube, man. Trust me, man. But it's to the point where I've seen people, you know, break keyboards. They punch. They scream so loud that the neighbors hear it. You know what I mean? They try to like, I can't finish this game no more, man. Have you ever had a rage? I want to hear what Smoke, because I know he probably had like a rage quit moment. Sit down here.
Too freaking mad.
Like, give us an example. Give us one example of your rage quitting moment. And Chad, if you got your influence of rage quit moment, tell us in the chat too.
I mean, we're gonna Dark Souls for one.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
You know, I mean, again, I'm not a big fan. Let me say this: games like Dark Souls, where it's beautiful, I love the darkness about it. I love to be able to save my game whenever I need to save it. Let's say, for example, I played a freaking game, and all you're going to do is I work my ass off for 30 minutes to get to this certain point. All of a sudden, I get killed off with a little something so small, and then I get sent all the way back to the last save point because there was no other save point, and I'm this close to getting to the next save point. Those kind of games, I'm like this. You know what? I'm gonna come back to this game 3 months from now. I'm gonna put this game down. And I have a lot of games that I love, like Doom. Love Doom. Doom is the truth. But there's one freaking segment in Doom every freaking time, and I'm just sitting there like every freaking and I just sit there like, okay, I'm gonna try this again. All right, I took time away from it. Play it again. Spent freaking 2 hours, same goddamn level, and I'm like this. Okay, you know what? I need to put it down. I'll come back and visit you. And it's funny because those kind of games, eventually a month, 2 months go by, I come back into it, and I'll normally move on to the next thing. But when you're getting the nostalgic moments and you're playing the game for the first time, like God of War, a lot of these games that come out, Uncharted, I love games that basically allow you to continue where you left off at. They don't make it over the top so hard where you're like, oh, well, we're going to make it so difficult for you. Those kind of games are frustrating as, and I just want to throw the freaking console. But I'm like this, you know what? I'm not going to throw it. I'm just going to put it down and lock this shit up and throw it down the freaking river for another freaking 2 years, and then maybe I'll come back and revisit. So yeah.
Yeah,
I have a lot. I have counseling sessions.
He's in counseling sessions. How about you, Jay?
It's not good therapy.
His counselor's Dr. Mario.
But what you got, Jay? I know you had a rage quit moment, man.
I mean, I've had rage quit moments developing games. I've actually had a few. My most common one was always playing was Mario Kart. Coming in first place.
Blue shell.
That blue shell hit you right before the finish line,
oh, dude.
and then somebody hit you with lightning, then somebody hit you with a red shell, somebody hit you with a green shell, and then like 6 people just drive past you, and you be like, yo, bruh.
You're like, God, why? Why'd you forsake me?
I had my biggest rage quit moment. It is the only time this ever happened where I broke a product of gaming equipment. I was playing Madden on my PSP. I had took my team. We was a rough and tumble team.
Yeah.
We got. I think I had either one of the 3 teams: Eagles, Dolphins, or the Bucks. One of those teams. I think it was the Bucks, and I had to go against the Saints. Something like that. I think it was right before Super Bowl. Something. Yeah. I remember. I just remember it's all been a haze.
It's a blur.
It's a blur because I was so angry. I was so angry because we were a struggling team. We weren't even a good team that season at all. So the fact that I got this far, I got through the playoffs. We had the finals. We were about to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah. I'm winning by 5 points, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. Or no. It was enough points.
With Disney World.
It was enough points where we were about to kick this field goal.
Yeah.
And we win the game by like 1 point or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool, we got this. Kick the ball. All of a sudden, a hand comes up from defense. Bop, smacks the ball down. I'm like, what happened? And I'm not body shaming, but the fattest linebacker on the team picks up. There was the fattest defensive lineman. Picks up the ball, outruns my entire offensive line.
So you're saying you had
and runs it all the way back, and he's running so slow that the time went out in the fourth quarter, and he walks into the end zone. They go to the Super Bowl.
You had a James Harrison moment.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now, I was holding my PSP like this. I was laying on the bed, like facing the wall. It was happening. I was getting misty-eyed and angry at the same time, and I Hadoukened my PSP, and it left my hands, hit my wall, and exploded into multiple pieces. And it was my red God of War PSP. And I was just like, why have you done this to me? And I was like screaming at the heavens, and I was so mad.
Start plugging in the Konami code.
Yo, I was so furious. I actually stopped playing Madden for like a couple years because of it. Like I was just like, I can't.
Man.
I rebuilt that PSP though. I rebuilt that PSP. Still got it.
Oh my God. Simply, I know you had tons and tons.
Tons,
dude.
Come on,
Give us one, man.
You say it like I repress my.
Yeah.
No, I only have two. I'll start with one. If we have enough time, I'll give you the other one. But okay, so I don't break stuff. First of all, that is rule number one.
Right.
I have never broken anything in a rage quit.
Mm-hmm.
But and I can't compare to that story. I can't. I got nothing. That's so good. No, but the one instance was, I was a teenager. I had a TurboGrafx 16. Okay,
Man.
that's what's up, right?
That's right.
And
NEC, baby.
I had I had Advanced Dungeons and Dragons: Order of the Griffin.
Yeah.
Great game, very hard,
The games on that system was hard
because it was based on real Dungeons and Dragons board game rules,
right?
And it was so difficult. But what made it even more difficult was the fact that it had a password save system. It didn't even have a lot of those games. They didn't have a backup battery. The password system to this game was not only case sensitive, it was color sensitive. Some of the characters had underlines. Some of the characters had the little caret on top of the letter. It was the most intricate password system I'd ever seen, and I don't recall specifically, but I believe it was somewhere around 32 characters. So whenever you wanted to stop and save the game, you basically had to write down the thing perfectly. Now, I can't tell you how meticulous I am with stuff, my attention to detail. I would write it down as best I could. It would be wrong. It would ruin everything. I wouldn't. And you couldn't guess what was the. So I'm like, oh my Lord, I'm sitting there with colored pencils and and like a protractor and trying to make the lines nice to write down my passwords every time, and inevitably it would screw up every time. The game didn't screw up. I screwed up. I would get something wrong, but it was so hard. I even got to the point, and this is before digital photography. We didn't have cell phones. You could just take a picture of the screen. But I would literally get like a camera and take a picture of the screen periodically because I'm like, I'll go and I'll get this developed and come back. And even then, you couldn't tell. Taking a picture of a TV screen with a 35mm camera, the colors fade. So everything would look white. And I'm like, yo, what's wrong? So I remember the one time I got so far in this game, right? And I went to save this thing, and I said, okay, cool, I'm kind of towards the end. You know where the story's going. Everything went awry. So I calmly turned off the game. I removed I removed the little game card because that's what they.
It looks like a credit card.
Yeah, they're little hue cards, and I discreetly put it in its case, and I closed the case, and I quietly walked upstairs from my basement into the kitchen, where I discreetly disposed of the game in the trash can, and then I went to bed.
That counts as destruction.
Wait.
That counts as destruction. That counts as destruction.
No, but I went to bed, and I'm sitting there like, I must have looked like Hannibal Lecter going to bed, like my eyes, I couldn't sleep. I'm sitting there staring at a wall. I'm like, yo, I'm like, this is making me so mad. How can this game beat me? And then like the next morning, I fished it out, and yeah, I know, it was stupid. And the TurboGrafx later had an adapter you could put on. It's called the Turbo Booster, where you could actually battery back up a lot of games. I did finally get that, so I did beat the game. But I do remember it was an epiphany moment. And I tell this to my son now, who my son's 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
If he ever gets really frustrated at a game, and he's a good patience for games, but I always tell him, like, if you're really getting upset by it, if it's really just, it's not fun anymore, it's not a challenge, you're just really getting heartbroken, just stop playing, man. Just pick a different game. You know what I do when I rage quit now? I play a different game for a while, and I come back to that game.
Unless you're garbage at that game too.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like a chain reaction.
Like I go from Madden, and then I'm like, I'll just play some Mario Kart. That'll calm my nerves. Blue shells all day. I'm like, you know what? I don't need video games. Like I just don't need it.
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Order of the Griffin had the most complicated password save system I've ever seen, and because it's all stats driven.
Yeah.
Like it tracks all your, you gotta figure, like it's taking into account all your hit points for all your characters and all your abilities and the armor you have and everything, and it has to put it, it has to like extrapolate that all into a repeatable code that's unique for that thing. So you can't, even if you get it close, if it's one variable off, you're done. It's ruined.
That's true.
How many characters were able to have in your party?
I think you had
4, right?
I think 4 at a time, but there was 8 potential characters you could pick.
Each one of those characters represented one of your different stats and what level that stat was at.
Yeah.
So like the 32 characters around that. So there's a series of 8. One was your stamina, one was your health. So each code, each little letter or code and all that stuff was a symbol of 0 to 100 of what you're.
The thing is, you're 100% right, but the other variable is somewhere in there are check digits. So somewhere it's like, so because as a kid you figure out, like even with Game Genies and stuff like that, you can figure what number drove what. So you're like, next time I'm going to plug in a Q because I know that gives me 10 out of 10 hit points or my, so they're smarter than that. You can't just like, like the Justin Bailey code for Metroid. Somebody figured out. They're like, oh, cool. That's, they're different. They know exactly what line item. You can almost put in any kind of code into Metroid and something will happen. Like it's very random. And I say almost any, maybe like 1 out of 10 attempts. It's really not any, but you could plug in a lot of different stuff, and people still to this day discover new things. They're like, wow, that's kind of cool. So there's a days of password saves. My only other rage quit story, and I'm gonna tell it real quick because I know I don't want to bore you guys, but I'm garbage at, I was garbage at Battlefield 3. And he's probably right. I was so stoked to get that game, and I got it. And from moment one, not only did that game have major connectivity issues, but when I could connect, I was getting pwned so hard. Like, I could not, I'm actually decent at the game, but people are like, godlike in that game, even from the day the game comes out. They're just amazing at it, and it's my respect due, man. That's awesome if you're that good. But literally got to the point where I had the strategy guide in hand in the game, and I was just like, yo, I went off on this chat board somewhere, and I was like, hey, next person who private messaged me their address, I will ship this game to your house for free. You'll never hear from me again. And people were like, really? You serious? You gonna give it? I'm like, yep. Not even gonna trade it in. Not gonna sell it on eBay. I want this thing out of my house. Out. And I did. I put it in a thing, and I was like, I shipped it to some random dude. I'm like, you take it.
Yeah.
You take it. Don't be a noob like me.
So see, we all had let off of some steam for video games, and you guys definitely put your input on chat too, man. I was reading a lot of people,
stories.
D. Joseph Cleveland was like, he admit Forza 5, he lost the race online, getting spun out at the 35-minute race, man. I've done that before. Need for Speed. It's an hour race.
Me and this guy, we lived in that Need for Speed universe.
Exactly.
I one time this is how dedicated I am. I was sitting like this, like that, right, in bed.
He had a Nomex suit on.
I'm up there racing in Need for Speed. I think it was Rival. No, it was one before Rival.
I didn't know something about. I can't
remember which one, but just one. Me and we used to play it all the time.
This
It was
was
Hot
a
Rod
PS4. It was one before that. I forgot what it was. But
Hot Pursuit. No,
It was
oh,
Hot
oh,
Pursuit.
wait.
Most one.
No, Rivals was the first
First
one
on the PS4.
Right,
That was
yeah.
the first one.
Which was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good, but I was rage. Dude.
Yeah.
The last race you race is that really long one. And,
Yep.
Yeah. I had to do an online race, and it was one of the long ones
Yeah.
near the end, and it was an online match. I'm going through it. I'm in first place. Yo, these people are hardcore players, so I'm killing them, and I'm loving it. And I was like, I think I have to fart. And I was like, 'cause I remember I called him when it just happened, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just let this out real quick. It was like, and I was like, that was more than just a fart, but I'm still in first place, and I'm gonna win this race. And I'm up there just like, and I'm sitting there like this, like I'm giving birth. I'm giving birth to this deuce I just dropped, I think. And I was like, I got first place. I stuck with it, but then I had to like tuck and roll out the bed because like I didn't want my girl to know that I just pooped on myself. So I just like,
Oh my god!
and I rolled out the bed, and then
He's coming back for the next episode.
then I broken leg like walk like this all the way to the bathroom.
Oh my god! See, man? See, I told you, dude.
This is my life. This dedication right here. That's gamer dedication right there. I poop myself.
And shout out to you, Raymond Ramos. Raymond Ramos on chat said Valkyries. I know you pretty much had.
When is Mad Cat gonna come out with adult diapers for gamers?
Yo, I'm about to get some Depends when this Spider-Man drop.
Oh my god! But Raymond said Valkyries on God of War. I know Cat follows Valkyries too, man. Yeah. See. But yeah, we all got rage quitting stories, man. But thank you guys for sharing your stories, man.
That's not a rage quit though.
No. My body rage quit.
That's a rage shit.
Oh my god.
Thank you.
But guys,
be here all week.
Exactly. And if you want to hear more stories, man, go ahead and check out our website, facebook.com/Ptc Gaming Show. Just look up Pass Controller, man. I know we got this over Pass Control, but there's a face. Look us up, Pass Controller. You'll see us up. And finally, and last but not least, we have Jason Richardson with some words about an upcoming convention. Jason, tell the people about this convention that's coming up, man.
Well, children, let me tell you. There is J1Con, the Anime and Gaming Expo.
Gaming!
I started it in Philly, out of my own pocket still, to this day.
That's a small place to have a convention, yo.
Out of my pocket? Yeah, yes it is. I need support. Check it out. So it's going to be September 14th, 15th, and 16th. I was blessed with 100,000 square feet. They emptied out the Showboat Hotel, like their casino area. It is now just event space from pretty much the front door to the boardwalk. And we have 100+ vendors. I think I have like 102 vendor tables and booths all like totaled up. Pretty much sold out, I think. Then we also have gaming tournaments. We're gonna have.
You got, man?
Oh, let me read you some off in there.
All right, here you go.
I just happen to have the blueprints right here for them. So we have Injustice 2, Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5 Arcade Edition, Dragon Ball Fighters, Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2.
When's Soul Calibur coming out?
All right.
When's Soul Calibur coming out?
Not in time. We're going to have an ARMS tournament for the Switch. We have Super Smash Brothers 4, Wii U one. We're going to also have a Smash Melee tournament. That we're gonna, even for the people who like to do tabletop and stuff like that, we're gonna have Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic. For the 3DS handheld people, we're gonna do Pokemon Sun and Moon, or Ultra Sun and Moon, and Ultra Moon. Both Ultras. Then on top of that, we're gonna have wrestling, like actual cosplay pro wrestling. The cosplay pro wrestling crew. They're gonna be there. And
with this, I don't know if he's gonna be.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
We used to be in the wrestling. He more so than I was. I had my small
you never
part
know.
in
Might
the
have
ring.
to come out behind a chair and knock the hell out of somebody. Somebody's retirement.
Hide your Spanish announce tables, kids.
Right? We got over 40 panels. We're gonna have 3 days of animation, the mix between anime and like some, you know, stuff from like DC animation and all that stuff, because I have some friends who's gonna, you know, help us out with stuff. We're gonna have the director of Rick and Morty and Teen Titans Go, Brian Newton.
Justin Roiland?
No. Justin and Dan are the creators, and then you have the directors.
That's right. My bad.
Then you have storyboard artist Matt Bourdonnais from his works as stuff like the DC animated shows, DC animated movies that have been coming out, like Gotham by Gaslight, all those stuff. He worked on Crisis on Two Earths, Justice League War, you know, Flashpoint Paradox, all those things. Then we're gonna have Dante Buford, who was the animation director and worked on and did the black and white animated music video for Jay-Z, The Story of OJ. He did Son of Zorn, Moonbeam City. That was one of his shows. Metalocalypse. I can never say it right.
Yeah, I know.
Deathlock for those who don't know.
Deathlock.
Yeah, I never say it right.
Metalocalypse.
See, that was worse.
Say that 5 times fast, yo.
We have so much content. Plus, we have an entire music festival that's free with your purchase of your ticket. It is in the famous House of Blues stage that's on the 2nd floor. And then, I'm saving that. And then, because we're going to have hip hop, rock, industrial, all that upstairs on Saturday during the convention.
Karaoke?
There will be karaoke. Taki will be providing karaoke Sunday. That's how we always close out J1Con. Then on top of that, we have the Blackfinity Gauntlet, which is like the People of Color Nerd Podcasting and YouTube Summit, where all the different YouTubers and podcasters on the East Coast will be coming together to network, teach people who want to be into the industry of, you know, stuff like YouTubing and making podcasts and all that stuff. Then on top of that, if you are fans of anime music, then the Steve Conte, who has made music, the music you've heard in Cowboy Bebop, made the theme song to Wolf's Range, Stray, who has worked on Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, who is brain powered, even Sonic and the Secret Rings.
Sonic fans.
You know, then we have on top of that voice actors like Erica Mendez, who is Retzko from Agretzko. She is Sailor Uranus. She's gone in Hunter x Hunter. She's Diane in Seven Deadly Sins.
I believe that's pronounced Uranus.
No, she is not from. Never mind. Then we have Ian Sinclair, David Vincent. These people are like voices of Law from Tekken. We have Gilgamesh from the Fate series. We have so much going on. We have so much content. The tickets are only $50 for an entire 3-day pass.
What?
That's right, $50.
So where can we get our tickets at now, man?
Yo, you can go to j1con.com, and those who are in distress about that, I know I'm gonna make an announcement later about the train system being shut down to Atlantic City. Don't worry, get on the Greyhound. They take you right up. They're not right to the door.
But before you go any further,
I mean, there's still some more.
We're going to talk about something else that's happening tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah. There's something important. This is why you want to cosplay at my convention, is because the winners of my cosplay contest get to be stars in my J1Con commercial that airs on Cartoon Network. Tomorrow, we are looking for some extras. If they want to be out in our commercial, it is going to be in Chinatown in Philadelphia at 1010 Cherry Street from 10 in the morning to about 4, hopefully even earlier, because I still got a lot more work to do.
Take the opportunity, though. Do it. Seriously.
So if you're in the Philadelphia area and you'd like to mug us, tomorrow morning at 10, that's where we'll be.
Don't worry, I'm going to be carrying.
What do you mean us, Kingo Sabi? What do you mean us?
I'm going to play the sticker real quick.
But yeah, we're shooting the commercial tomorrow for this year's J1Con that's going to air on Cartoon Network. I know I forgot a whole bunch of stuff that we're having at J1Con because there's so much. Just go on the j1con.com website and you can see. Matter of fact, here's a little secret that no one else ever put together. Click on guests. when you go to the j1con.com thing, everybody just reads the news on the front. I put up the majority of the guest lineup right there on the j1con.com /guest.
But you know, it's really something when you have amazing people that are like totally backing J1Con. Like, you know, when you had RZA,
Yo,
I was like this. RZA, I'm like, whoa.
Yo, y'all don't even know. When I, thanks to New Jersey Veg Fest, like, I was able to get like a quick little second thing. We talked about anime, but then afterwards, I got to hang out with RZA some more, and like, yeah, RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. Me and RZA was chopping it up.
Bobby Digital, y'all.
Yo, we was kicking it.
Afro Samurai.
And then at one point, like, he was just like, we were talking about Grappler Baki, and we were like, yeah, we love that anime, blah, 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 blah. And then he was like, yo, check this out. And he just freestyled for me about Grappler Baki privately. Like, no one else was like, I was like, I wish I could just record this.
Oh, my God.
This was so dope. Like, I get to hang out with all these cool people in the industry. It's so dope. I love
Besides us.
Yeah, exactly.
These family right here. Like, I've been, me and you've been working together and stuff.
You can tell
by
the resemblance.
Yeah,
look at us. We're brothers.
They're practically indistinguishable from each other.
Yeah.
But guys, man, but definitely check out J1Con, man. The Anime and Gaming Expo is coming up soon in the heart of Atlantic City, the Showboat Hotel. Again, tickets are $50. Yes.
There's discount codes right now up until the week before J1Con where you can get your rooms for like $100 to $150 a night.
So if it's cheap,
which is great in that time of year.
And I'm cheap too, so that was perfect for me. Like, seriously. So take that advantage. Go on j1con.com for more details. Jason, I don't know if you have any last.
Real quick, for those, I gotta always tell people this. Check this out. Support it. It's a black business, a black anime business.
Yes.
You know what I mean? This shirt right here is drawn by people that work over at major animation studios. They drew my characters. It's dope. But check it out. I need y'all to support. You know what I mean? I do this out of pocket. I gamble my savings every year because I love the industry. But at the same time,
He had to dance on tables, man, throughout the week. Dance on the pole.
Dance your kids off the pole.
Yeah, that's right. Now listen, and our after party is always lit. Yo, best after party at a con ever, hands down. Yo,
don't wait. When you see it,
always crazy.
When you see it, oh man,
we got a lot. We got Mega Ran performing. We got the Stereo Titans, and we got a burlesque show. We even might get me up there twerking.
Shout out to Mega Ran for being acknowledged in the Guinness Book of World Records this year.
That's right.
That's right.
Yo, serious love to my man. He is awesome. Repping Philadelphia.
That's
got
right.
that Guinness Book of World Records record. You keep doing your thing, dude. You keep doing your thing. Putting this on the map. Yo, seriously, pick up Black Materia. It is, honest to God, that is like the best, like, is it even chiptunes? It's nerdcore. It's nerdcore. Yeah. Dude, Mega Ran is the dude. Check him out.
And honestly, I promise I will finish the rest of the manga. I'll get to it. It's just been J1Con is just taking over my life.
His assistant over here is like, oh, come on, dude. Like, what are you waiting for? Like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's all of our time, guys, man. And that was the final thoughts, man. Matter of fact, Jason just hogged the control. It's not pass. He just hogged it, man. So that was the final thoughts, guys. Thank you so much for joining in on this awesome episode of Pass Controller, man. Again, guys, make sure that you pick up Marvel Spider-Man coming out September 7th in your local game stores. And then with always, man, with me, McNuts, The Smoke, Civic Minded, and Spider Triple, we would like to say, get good.